Hi, I'm Satori Shakur, and here's what's coming up this week on One Detroit Arts and Culture. Detroit punk rock band Cinecyde staked their claim as the first punk rockers in the Motor City. Plus, Wynton Marsalis talks about the time he returned to Orchestra Hall with the Jazz at the Lincoln Center Orchestra. Then, we catch up with Penny Stamp's Distinguished Speaker Series Director, Christina Hamilton. It's all coming up on One Detroit Arts and Culture.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support for this program is provided by the Cynthia and Edsel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV, the Kresge Foundation.
The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you.
Hi, I'm Satori Shakur. Welcome to One Detroit Arts and Culture. I'm coming to you from the Mary Grove Theater. Thank you for being with me. While COVID continues to keep us closer to home these days, the creative community is finding a way for artists and groups to continue to push forward. That's why we created One Detroit Arts and Culture, to keep us in touch with performances, music, and cultural events we love to experience, engage with, and that feeds our souls. Coming up on the show, how dissatisfaction with rock music brought us Detroit punk rock band Cinecyde, and how the do-it-yourself rockers have evolved since the 1970s. Plus, Wynton Marsalis tells us about the Democracy Suite, then director of the Penny Stamp's Distinguished Speaker Series, Christina Hamilton. And we'll finish with a performance from Detroit's own punk rock pioneers, Cinecyde. Detroit has never been shy about its pioneering music scene, and that includes punk rock. So much of this music was self-produced and self-released, yet it rivaled the punk scene in New York and L.A. One of Detroit's first punk bands, Cinecyde. They formed in the mid-1970s. They're still making music today, and were even nominated for a 2021 Detroit Music Award. We didn't know a lot about Cinecyde until our One Detroit editor, Chris Jordan, a punk rock fan in his own right, and who worked with the band, introduced us.
Wanna look, wanna let you see. Wanna speak, wanna let you say. Run it back, same as before.
Punk rock was really sort of a dissatisfaction about rock and roll. It became one thing, or it became a narrower thing, and it was at the exclusion of anything else. Because you were passionate about music, we were passionate about music. You got angry, passion, anger. There's punk rock. There you go.
Here comes one single warning, coming to you from over the way.
Formed in 1976, the same year that the Sex Pistols and the Ramones released their first singles, Cinecyde were, depending who you ask, Detroit's first punk band.
We thought we were completely alone. Detroit was filled with cover bands, and just doing rock and roll covers. That just wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't a good enough kick.
We decided to make a record, Gutless Radio, which is sort of an anthem against radio at the time.
We don't like Gutless Radio. We don't like the things we hear.
As we discovered that there were some other things going on in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, you would get wind of some sort of underground band or something, and there was just no possibility that they would play any of that stuff. I mean, it was sort of sort of brash. I mean, most bands in rock and roll would be, I want to be signed. I want the industry to love me. In our case, it was, we were, sort of just slamming the industry with the idea that it would be, we would do it yourself. We would issue our own records and things.
They were one of the central bands in what became, by the early 80s, a thriving, eclectic, fiercely independent punk scene in Detroit.
All the clubs, and there were a lot of them that were doing punk, they were full like every night. It didn't matter who played. In fact, a lot of kids would go to the bars just because they knew something was going to go on there.
It was an eclectic scene. So, there was a nice spectrum of bands. It wasn't one thing. It was, it could be bands that were very roots-oriented, or it could be bands that were, more rock and roll, a little electronica, kind of stuff was sneaking in there. But, it all seemed to, the commonality was, it had to be a little raw, had to have a little bit of an edge.
45 years later, Cinecyde are still going strong, are still totally DIY, and just released their 8th album with the pulp sci-fi inspired title track, Vegetable or Thing.
This is a project that we worked on for a while, actually before the pandemic, and then finished it up during the pandemic. Chris Gerard was in the band and played bass with us, and we recorded a lot of that with him in the band, and then he had health troubles, and Chris went on his hiatus, and we always thought that he would end up back in the band, but things did turn for the worse, and he died. Just an amazing guy, a beautiful soul, a great creator. He always had an innovative and interesting way to look at things. Maybe 2/3 of the record was, with Chris or something, was close to being done, but we kept putting it off and putting it off. We were mixing and things during the COVID thing. So essentially, we just stayed safe and tried to be safe, but I thought we have to release this. We're not going to not release it, and we're just going to have to try different things like
maybe we could do a re-release when the bars
we
open.
could.
So being in the independent music scene, the Detroit punk scene for just about 45 years, how have you seen the scene change, and how has your approach to making punk rock changed?
I don't know that I can say anything about a scene. I'm always interested in what's going on in Detroit. There's a load of great musicians, load of great people creating and making music and stuff. I mean, it's through all these different eras, through the 80s, 90s, 2000s now. I think that Detroit is sort of underplayed. It doesn't get the exposure that it should.
Has your approach to writing punk rock changed? Is it still the same sensibility, the same spirit?
I mean, Cinecyde is Cinecyde, and it has a specific kind of sound, but I would say we evolve every time, every song.
To me, punk was just about getting back to our roots, stripping music down and being, being fun, yes, being aggressive, it could be, but also, respecting and understanding those roots, and those roots could be anything from, some of the garage band sounds of 65, 66, or it could be rockabilly from the 50s, X from Los Angeles. Of course, I always appreciated the Cramps, or it could be, Hank Williams or Johnny Cash. It could be any of that kind of stuff that you're bringing to a simplicity and a more directness. The music is just, for me, it just plays in my head, so it plays in your head, and then you just kind of, try to work it out on an instrument, and then boom, there it is. Maybe, for us, maybe for me, it's just, it's my personality.
If you're in the mood to rock, stick around, because we have a performance from Cinecyde's latest album at the end of the show. From punk rock to jazz, world-famous musician Wynton Marsalis is a phenom. He had a 4-day residency at Detroit Symphony Orchestra. The performances included Marsalis, accompanied by the Jazz at the Lincoln Center Orchestra. They hadn't performed live in person as an orchestra since March 2020. WRCJ's Linda Yawn talked to Marsalis before the 4-day residency.
May I say, Mr. Wynton Marsalis, that Detroit loves you madly.
Oh, thank you, Linda. It's great to see you and to talk to you. And you know, I love Detroit. There's so many great musicians come from there. And I had so many great experiences. I always remember the great Marcus Belgrave. And all that he contributed. Roy Brooks, I mean, so many great musicians.
So you're coming to Detroit. You'll be part of a big residency at the DSO, and I'll just mention it right up front. Kason Belgrave's going to be in that band.
That's right.
Oh,
Kason. Kason is playing with us. I love it. It's like having one of your grandkids or your kid play with you. So we're looking for his guy to get this. It's some hard parts to play too. That prelude, fugues, and riffs. That's a difficult saxophone part.
Well, he's got it. He's got it. So when you come to Detroit, and it will be a residency at the DSO for 4 days, as I understand, will you be focusing mostly on the Democracy Suite?
No, we're playing a Stravinsky Ebony Concerto. Prelude, fugue, and riffs, Bernstein. They're going to be playing a piece that I wrote called Blues Symphony. We're doing a Jazz for Young People's concert. The great Anthony McGill is playing the clarinet solo, so you got to check him out. He's unbelievable. We're doing different educational activities with the DSO Civic Youth Ensemble, and we're just going to be in the house playing. We're going to do a concert just with the band of different music that we play with the theme of freedom. We might play some of the Democracy Suite also.
Now, I know people can go to your website, Wynton, and they can hear you talk about it, but I think it's important. And can you talk about the Democracy Suite for Detroit?
Well, it has 8 movements, and each movement it looks at the things we've experienced in this time, and it uses the language of jazz. It's all instrumental. There are no words, but everything from just the determination and resolve it takes for people who are healthcare workers to do their job, to the presentness of people who are involved in protests, even though we're in a pandemic, risking their health and putting their social concerns above their own safety in some instances, to the loss of loved ones in this time that you don't get a chance to visit with and sit with, to Black Lives Matter, the slogan that everybody has heard and knows different things that it signifies, to the period before the election when mailboxes were bouncing away. Like, you know, your postmaster general is making your mailbox disappear. So I see the irony and the humor in that, to the feeling of people just out in the street getting down, doing their thing, the different types of parade, music, and that kind of human will to find a groove no matter how bad the circumstance is. And that's a few of the movements, and there are others.
We've said this at Detroit Jazz Festivals, and it bears repeating, is that the Detroit audience knows the music. And so you can't come playing lame. You cannot, phone it in Detroit. You've got to be real.
You know, I played it at, the first time I played in Detroit was with Art Blakey. And it was for like 2 weeks. And it's so many people knowledgeable about the music. And, you know, let's not forget Mack Avenue Records too, coming out of Detroit. I mean, Detroit is, Gretchen is for real. Mm-hmm. They've kept the vibe going, and the belief in the music in a time when commercialism has taken over. Now it's so celebrated that that type of integrity is something we have to always make sure we give special note to.
Yep.
Because, if we don't, we'll look up and it will actually finally be gone. It's like, can you cut every tree down? Eventually, yeah, you can.
Well, welcome back to the city. I understand that this appearance in Detroit, this residency, is actually the first time that you're going to be back on the road since the pandemic started. What a way to start.
Yeah, the whole ensemble, yes.
The whole ensemble.
Yeah, let's see. We're gonna be let's see how we deal with it. We're ready. We're ready to do it. So.
Oh, I know you are. And yet, how good will it feel to be, not working with just the septet, but with kids, with students in person? How good is that going to feel to you?
Yeah. So it's, the pandemic, if it hasn't done anything, it's made us appreciate the lives we had. So it's gonna be it's not describable, but we look forward to it. We can't. It's hard to find words for it.
You can learn more about upcoming jazz performances at the DSO on onedetroitpbs.org. This next story is from one of our partners here at Detroit Public Television, the Penny Stamps Distinguished Speaker Series. Penny Stamps director Christina Hamilton talks about the wide variety of speakers they had lined up back in the spring of 2021, from spatial video artists to industry-leading investigative journalists. Hamilton tells us who she was most excited to see and how the Penny Stamps digital series is here to stay. Here's One Detroit's Will Glover with more.
The spring lineup is here. It's underway, so as expected, it's very impressive. Tell us a little bit about who we can expect to see and what's available for us to check out right now.
This week, folks should join us Friday for Jad Abumrad, who is, most folks will know him from Radio Lab. And a lot of folks also hopefully have heard his amazing podcast, Dolly Parton's America, which won a Peabody last year. Anybody that's missed anything should know that our archive is available online. So, for example, if you missed the Henry Louis Gates program, you can go back and watch it. It's there for you. You didn't miss it. Another exciting PBS persona that we'll be hosting in April is Rainey Aaronson, who is the fearless producer director behind the show Frontline, which is certainly, talk about, cutting the edge of America. She's certainly doing an amazing job of that. So we can't wait to visit with Rainey. And we've got, some new program that we have, a new program that we have not yet announced.
So tell us about it.
I have to tell you, you're the first to hear the news. We are adding for our the week after Rainey in April. This will be a program. Will be on April 9th. A program which will be a conversation between Wynton Marsalis and Ken Fisher, who is the director, or was the director for 30 years of the University Musical Society. And that will be, I am sure, another not to miss moment.
Are there any plans to start thinking about what this is going to look like in the future as we get back to in person?
How that's going to work out seems to shift constantly. I think it was last night I heard President Biden saying he thought by Christmas things, which was not what we were all hoping, I think, for a lot sooner than that.
Yeah.
I am trying to think about how, because obviously I'm right now trying to think about our fall programming and how we're going to roll that out. Without having any definitive on that, I'm trying to think about it in some way that we can be able to pivot somewhat to a more in-person format before we would even, I think there are a lot of challenges around that too, right, though, because what happens to travel? I can't imagine international borders are going to be open as soon as perhaps we might be able to get together in the theater again. We used to always think of ourselves as a live first production, and I think that has forever changed now. we will certainly be continuing to make work for our online audiences. But we also really, really, really want to get back to those in-person engagements, because it's so much, there's more sort of engagement and conversation that happens in real time around these folks when we can have them in person. I think we're also going to see some of that too, though, where we will have people who cannot travel here that we still want to engage, where we may have more of a digital platform in the theater for people in person to be engaging around as well. So, I'm trying to think about it and keep an open mind for the path forward.
Who are you looking forward to most? There's always a difficult question, and that is going to be it for you. Who are you most excited to see?
Oh God, that's a really hard question for me because, they're kind of like, there's so many ways I look forward to each and every one of them, right? Because everybody has something exceptional to offer. I have to say though, if I had to only pick one, which is almost impossible, but I am very, 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 very excited about Pipolati Rist. This is a video artist from Switzerland who is exceptional. This woman is absolutely exceptional. A couple of the reasons that I would put her at the forefront of my list are she is really, really, really thinking about this space that you and I are in right now and how we're communicating and how we're all we've all been sort of flattened out into this two-dimensional, screen space. This is what her work is all about, and how does the physical body, live in this sort of 2D environment.
With that, where can people go to get that surprise, to get the insight and knowledge that is provided by the Penny Stamp series?
We put things out through YouTube, through Facebook. PBS Books is our partner. So this, different libraries are offering this. The Detroit Public Television website, and then pennystampsevents.org is sort of where, our homepage, where you can find all the information on everybody. And all programs are released Friday nights at 8 p.m. And then are available, in our archive after that for on-demand viewing.
The Penny Stamps Distinguished Speaker Series will webcast all of their events on Fridays at 8 p.m. at dptv.org. You can also watch and join the Penny Stamps conversation live on their Facebook page. That's it for me, but we leave you with a performance from Cinecyde. This song is called Vegetable or Thing from their album of the same name. Enjoy, and I'll see you next week.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support for this program is provided by the Cynthia and Edsel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV, the Kresge Foundation.
The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you.